So this is our review of our SYX 50cc dirt bike we bought on Amazon. Real quick before I get my son's thoughts and then kind of break it down. Absolutely a thumbs up. We paid about $325 total shipping in the bike. We've put several hours on it. Works great. It is, I would say, a beginner's bike. Not that you couldn't technically race this, but it's really a great beginner's bike, great to learn on, and it's a real cheap kind of entry point if for whatever reason it doesn't kind of work out. So we absolutely give it a thumbs up and would encourage anyone else thinking about buying one to go ahead and pick one up. Alright, so this is Hudson. He is 7. He's my son. Hi, Hud. And we're going to ask a couple quick questions, get his opinion of his new dirt bike here. He just learned to ride right after his birthday. So, Hud, do you like your new dirt bike?
Yes.
Alright. Was it hard to learn to ride your new dirt bike? This was the first dirt bike you ever rode?
No.
No? What's your favorite part about riding your new dirt bike?
Going in the mud and in the fields.
You can pretty much ride it anywhere, can't you? It's a lot easier than the pedal bike. He does a great job. You can see he's 7, about 55 pounds, and it's a perfect fit. Anyone looking to start riding a bike, learning, we give it 2 thumbs up. Alright. Alright, so this is our SYX Moto 50cc dirt bike. We ordered off of Amazon. That is correct. We ordered it off of Amazon. It was $275, I believe, and then about $45 or so shipping. So it was about $320, $325 total purchase. And this is meant to be a review for anyone that's looking into it or considering it, as I found it hard to find a review that was in depth in the video posted on YouTube. So that's what we want to do here for anyone that's potentially interested. So first, I'm going to explain how the bike came, how we assembled it, how simple that was, and then second, I'm going to kind of briefly show you the component parts and how, I don't want to say cheap they are, but how they're not like a normal dirt bike or four-wheeler that's like your Polaris, Yamaha, KTM, etc. And I'm actually going to use our Polaris Outlaw 50 four-wheeler kind of as a comparison with component parts for that. And then last, we're going to tell you our thoughts, kind of our experience with it, as we're probably 4 or 5 hours riding into it on pavement, on dirt fields, as well as some mud and a couple small hills. And this is my son's first dirt bike ever. He turned 7. We got him the bike, so here's our review. So first, just to explain how the bike came and what it came with. It does literally come in a box. Whenever you get the box, you're like, there's no way there's a bike in here. So the entire rear of the bike, including the rear wheel, the sprocket and everything, is on. The shock is not. This right here is simply not bolted down. The shock is run down through there so that it's super compact and tight in the box. The wheel is pretty much up to the muffler. And then on the front, the handlebars are not assembled. There's just a little kind of like a U-clamp you put on there, and then 2 bolts on each side down for the handlebar. Same thing on the front wheel and the front fenders. This right here is actually 2 different pieces, are not on it. What you have is this piece right here is in between the forks, and it's a smart way they ship it to keep the forks, which aren't super heavy duty, to keep them a certain space apart like this, so as it's shipping and moving they don't get damaged or come together or anything like that. So once you get it, that piece, which is right there, you do not put back on it. You take that off, you put on the front wheel, the front fender, the handlebars, the shock, and then it's pretty much ready to go. Total assembly, probably, I would say 45 minutes to an hour, just kind of taking it easy, making sure not over tighten things and everything's good to go. All the things they give you, here is kind of the tools. They do give you all the tools necessary. Again, this was the part that was between the forks on the front to keep it from being damaged. This was just the bag. Here is the owner's manual they give you, and on the back, these are the directions. There's 1 page and 2 pages with some images, but it really is that simple. And you can kind of see here, this is how they're giving you an image of what it comes out of the box. There's the bike, front wheel, the plastic and everything there. That's how it comes. So simple to assemble, really pretty straightforward. I would say anyone can do it. I would encourage you to go over the components or the bolts and just make sure everything's tight, but really I found that everything was good. And the graphics, the stickers, they also just give you the graphics and you put them on, which is a little tricky but really not too hard. So that's all that. Now the last thing they give you a tank, or a mixed tank, I want to call it. So this bike is a 2-stroke bike, and it is a 25-to-1 mix. Now, if you don't know what that means that you are using two-stroke oil mixed with just regular gasoline, which I actually run the better gas in all of our dirt bikes for. I just think it's smarter. It's a little bit more money, but it's just worth it in my opinion. So this is a two-stroke bike. So 25-to-1 mix, when you get this, and I have a video I'm going to tag at the end of this showing you how I measured this out. But they have up here on top, when you buy the bike, from here to here, they're saying that's your 25-to-1 mix. It just doesn't make sense. So what I did, I actually had, for my other bikes, this ratio right mixer, and it has every single mixture of 25-to-1, 50-to-1, 10-to-1, whatever it is. So the 25-to-1 is right here. And again, I have a video showing this, but that's how I measured out 25-to-1, the mixture for this bike for 1 gallon is the 150 mark on this little jug they give you for mixing the gas and oil. So if you get this bike, this they give you, you want to fill up to here first with oil, and it's a two-stroke oil. I buy it at Walmart, a little container. It's maybe $2 or $3. I'll put it here at the end of the video. I'll grab the jug I have. So you fill up to this mark, which if you can't see it is the 150 mark on this jug. I took a marker, made it there. So that's 1 gallon. Now if you do, like I have a little 2-gallon tank, it's a 2.5-gallon jug I fill, I simply, you just double it. So you still want the 25-to-1 mixture, so you would fill all the way from the bottom up to the, if you do the math, the 300 line, and I made a mark here again, it's on the jug. So if it's 2 gallons of gas I have, that is how much oil I need to have in those 2 gallons to get that 25-to-1 mixture. So that was something they didn't do, I kind of had to do myself. So that's kind of a brief overlook of how it comes, as well as how easy it is to assemble. Alright, so for the second part, I want to highlight how the components, if you are, like the bar, how heavy duty are. They're obviously cheaper, but how heavy duty are they? And I'm going to compare them to our Polaris Outlaw 50, which is a kind of factory, you know, big model, or big brand I should say, and significantly more money, even though that's a four-wheeler. That is, I believe it's almost 2000, I think it was like 1900 brand new. That is a 2006, 16 there rather. So just to show you, it is a pull start, works great. I would honestly think of it like a weed eater or a leaf blower, if you will. Here is your choke. So this right here is on all the way down. There's halfway up, and there's all the way up. To start it, you turn it all the way up, one good hard pull, and it should fire. I then turn the choke about halfway as soon as it fires for maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and then I turn it all the way down. And I'll make a brief video here at the end of me starting it. And then again, it's a two-stroke, so whenever you start it, you know, you're kind of blowing out. It'll have a lot of smoke pouring out of it. I'll show you here. That's supposed to happen. That's just how two-strokes run. They get a little if you will, like loaded up now and then, but I have yet, or my son and I have yet to foul a plug, and he's not running it super slow, but he's not running it super hard. So the concern of, does it foul plugs a lot? No, we have yet to foul a plug, and it maybe stalls every now and then when he stopped and just letting it idle. The idling will get a little low. I told him whenever you hear the idling get a little low, just turn a tiny bit on the throttle to bring the idling up so it doesn't stall, but otherwise really runs great. This here is your fuel. This is currently closed. You simply turn it, and I'm turning it clockwise straight up and down. Now it is on. Now with a two-stroke like this and a small bike, every time we're done riding for the day, or at least for a period of time, we always turn it off, which is parallel here, just side to side. So that's how we do it. I just think it's smart. Some people say to run it for a couple seconds after you turn it off, so it pretty much empties the carburetor out. If you're storing it or not riding it for an extended period of time, I would do that, but it kind of creates a headache if you're riding it regularly, because you're running all the fuel out of that little carburetor in the bottom there, and then the next time you start it, you've got to kind of get a little bit of fuel back in there. It's just harder to start. So if you're storing it, I would do that. Otherwise, no. One hard pull fires up every time. I'll fire it up here in a moment. The components though, the frame, if you can see here, it is in essence a hollow, sort of like a cheap bike frame. So to compare that, here is the frame in essence of our Outlaw 50 four-wheeler. Solid, it's a full, frame, if you will. I don't really know how to describe it other than that, but it's just a lot more heavy duty and solid. For a cheaper bike like this, it's just not like that. It's kind of like your cheaper metal. Same thing with the components like your brakes. I would compare this, it is front and back disc brakes. I would compare it to kind of like a cheaper mountain bike brake. But again, brakes are on, rear brake, front brake, they're on the bar, they work perfectly fine, but they're kind of like a cheaper mountain bike brake, if you will. And to give an example, this is a drum brake, but you see here just the components here, the wire, the spring, see how heavy duty that is on our Outlaw, and then come over here and you're in essence dealing with like a mountain bike simple wire for the brake. But again, works fine and it's cheaper. The suspension, the shocks, I should say, the rear shock there and the front forks, again, more like a cheap mountain bike, but again, really works fine. My son is 7, he's about 55 pounds, and the shocks do compress as he's going over the field or bumps. Really does perfectly fine, exactly what you'd want it to do, so no complaints there. The chain and sprocket, again, just to kind of finish with the components here, again, here you can see more like a pedal bike, or if you will, a cheaper mountain bike. So pretty small, but again, does the job perfectly fine. And the weight up to this bike, it says, is up to 150 pounds. And I've actually seen videos of people online, 12, 13-year-olds ripping around on it, and it's running. So my son's only about 55 pounds, perfectly fine. So to compare, there's the chain for that. You come over here, and again, it is a four-wheeler and a little bit heavier, but that is a more heavy-duty chain that you're seeing on this Outlaw 50, and here is my old XR, and again, you're seeing a heavy-duty, full-fledged chain. This bike, very simple. Muffler is here underneath. The shock's never coming close to compressing to that. It's fine. Again, simple and more cheap, but really no complaints. For a kid that's just learning to ride a bike, this, in our opinion, is a great start for a bike. It's not a big expense. If for whatever reason they don't like it, you're not really out too much money. You likely can sell it on Craigslist or Marketplace on Facebook or something for the same exact price you bought it for, and you're not out any money. So that's the components and kind of breaking down, comparing what we got. Blow it out to start it. After we do that, she's ready to go. She runs great. And here is the 2-stroke oil that we mix with our gas for our dirt bike. See, very simple 2-stroke premium engine oil. I bought it at Walmart, not too expensive. This is what I'd encourage you to buy. You don't need no top-notch oil or anything like that. This works great. Alright, so a quick video to show you. This is the container they give you with the SYX, and there she is sitting there, 50 dirt bike, which we purchased. This is a ratio right, which I've purchased, and as you can see, it's kind of hard to see, but it has a ton of measurements. So to try to figure out the exact mixture, it should be 25:1 per gallon of gas for the little dirt bike, the SYX, if you pick it up. This, unfortunately, is, it's a really neat container they give you, but it's very confusing. As I'll show you here, they have different kind of measurements here, and they show you like fill the gas to there, and then up here they have 25:1, 50:1, but it just doesn't really make sense. And having it at the top, I don't understand how they're expecting you to mix the oil after you mix the gas. It's just kind of bizarre. So what I did is, using my ratio right, I poured in the 25:1 per gallon, which you can kind of see there right above my thumb. It's just under the 24:1. to get the correct ratio, and then I poured it into this container. So I want to show you, if you have this dirt bike, there's 100 and then 200, and then in the middle there's a small mark. Right under that small mark, I kind of took a permanent marker and made a line. So right under that individual notch there, between the 2 and 300, I'm sorry, between the 100 and 200, right under there is where you want to fill it to get the 25 to 1 gallon ratio if you're mixing just 1 gallon of gas. So there you go. If you are someone like myself and you had no idea how this device was supposed to be used, I used my ratio right and got the exact measurement. And now I'm going to do it for 2 gallons of gas, and I'm going to put a mark for that to show. Alright, and just to show you, if you are a math wizard, yes, if the 150 notch was 1 gallon, 25 to 1 ratio mixture mark, the 2 gallon, keeping that 25 to 1 ratio mark for the mixture of the oil and gas, is right under the 300. Pretty much right on it. If it's perfectly level, it's kind of hard to see on my camera. So if you are using this container, which they give you with the SYX 50, nice little dirt bike, we're going to have our impressions here with this video for anyone online that's thinking about it. This they give you, again, if for the 25 to 1 ratio oil per gallon, the first mark using this is the 150, just under the 150. That's going to have, fill that up with oil, dump that into your gas can. We have a 2.5 gallon gas can we use there for the dirt bike. If you want to do 2 gallons of gas and keeping that 25 to 1 ratio, it's pretty much right at or just under the mark for the 300 on this container they give you. So there you go. Hope that helps anyone, and have fun with the little dirt bike. My son's having a blast. So last thing I just want to share briefly, I don't want to make this video too long, but I want to share, if your son or daughter starts riding, I think it's absolutely a great bike to start with. It's cheap, easy to get on and ride, easy to learn right away. I'm going to put at the end of this video my son, the first time he literally rode any dirt bike, this one, immediately picked it up. Like riding a bike. I've even had some people tell me they learned first on a small bike like this, then rode on a bike, a pedal bike without training wheels, but he could ride a bike without training wheels, and then he jumped right on this. But I would encourage you, if they're just starting, to first start on a solid surface. So we started, and you'll see here at the end of this video, I'm going to put him riding. We live in a neighborhood that's kind of like on a grid with a road, and that's how he started riding first. He picked it up right away. After he got comfortable with that, starting, stopping, using the throttle, it's the first time he ever used the hand twist throttle. Then we went to a field, rode around on that, little bumpy, getting used to that. But then again, he was getting used to that, very simple. That was kind of the next progression. And then finally, we started riding on a little bit of dirt, a little bit of trails, simple trails, and then as well mud. And you can kind of see we sprayed it off a little bit, but I didn't really scrub it down before I did this video. So that was kind of the progression we went through. That's the progression I would encourage. When you start first riding on a cement or hard surface, we just had him use his heavy winter boots that he just wears for winter, pretty simple. I encourage you that if you are going to have your son or daughter continue to ride, maybe not buy these right away, because these boots, for instance, we bought used. The person bought them, literally the kid wore it once, didn't like the bike, didn't like riding, whatever it was, and we bought a one-time used boots for maybe half the price. They were brand new, and they were brand new. But these are riding boots. They have the stiff, if you're not familiar with them, this right here is just stiff. So if they, and you can see how it goes almost up to the knee, above the shin. If they are riding in fields even, but past dirt, etc., mud especially, and they're learning to ride, they will lay it down. My son has laid this down twice, just gone through some mud, and he just kind of lost his balance. The front wheel slid out on him, and he laid it down. That's why I'd encourage you to have these. You can buy them used on Marketplace and Facebook, or Craigslist maybe, just, you know, kind of be smart with Craigslist, for maybe half the price, and they'll be like new. And if they're going to ride, these things right here will protect not only their foot, their ankle, ankle and even almost up to their knee. When I was younger, I didn't have these as I was starting to ride, and I just hit a rock as I was driving slow on a bike in a trail. The bike fell in my foot, tore every ligament in my foot. I still have issues with it today, almost 30 years later. So with my son, I said, you better believe once he, if he does like it, we're buying these type of boots. So I really encourage you, of course, wear a helmet, goggles if you're riding in woods or paths, I would encourage you to, but boots, absolutely, if they are going to continue progressing and they like it. And again, we found these on Facebook Marketplace. We paid $50 for them. They're like 120 brand new, and they were brand new. So there's our thoughts. So the end of this video here, we'll give you a little bit of the bike in action with my son and his thoughts. All right, so Hudson just had a birthday 3 days ago. His SYX Moto 50cc bike is ready. He's ready.
I turned 7.
He turned 7. We're excited. He's ready to ride. We're going to start just getting used to the bike, just going back and forth on our street here, just getting used to starting and stopping. It snowed last night, but it's warm enough now that we can do it. And he's just going to get used to using the throttle for the first time on the wrist. He's used the four-wheeler with the thumb and just being on 2 wheels. So, ready, Hud? All right, let's do this. So here we are 3 minutes in, and he is ready to go. Simple to pick up on, great bike to start on, and he's doing a good job. We're just getting warmed up, we're starting and stopping. Hud! Thumbs up. So we've gotten used to starting and stopping, still a little wobbly, but he'll get better. Now we're working on turning ourselves around so Dad doesn't have to chase him.